Join me as I take on the challenge of teaching kids how to develop a Christ-like heart in just 1 week. As parents, we all want our kids to grow up with a heart that's full of love, compassion, and kindness. But have you ever stopped to think about what it really means to have a Christ-like heart and how we can help our kids develop one? For me, it's about helping them understand and live out the values of forgiveness, empathy, and selflessness that Jesus modeled for us. And I believe that's essential for their growth and relationships, not just with others, but with themselves and with God. Today, parents face a myriad of challenges when it comes to instilling values like compassion, kindness, and forgiveness in their children. Between the pressures of social media, the influence of their peers, and the fast-paced nature of our modern world, it can be overwhelming to even know where to start. For many of us, it can feel like we're fighting a losing battle as we try to teach our kids to be kind and compassionate in a world that often seems to value self-interest and success above all else. One of the biggest challenges I think we face is simply finding the time and energy to model these values for our kids, when it's hard enough just to keep up with our own busy lives. And then there's the worry that we're not doing it right, that we're somehow messing up our kids or failing them in some way. On top of all this, there's the concern that our kids will be influenced by the negative behaviors and attitudes of their peers, and that we won't be able to counteract those influences. And finally, there's the worry that we're not setting a good enough example ourselves, that our own flaws and shortcomings will hinder our kids from developing the values we want them to have. When we're faced with all these challenges, it's easy to feel like we're in way over our heads, and that it's just too hard to teach our kids to be kind, compassionate, and forgiving. But I want to encourage you that it's not impossible, and that there are practical ways we can instill these values in our kids, even in the midst of our busy and often chaotic lives. One of the most powerful ways to teach our kids about kindness, compassion, and forgiveness is through storytelling. By sharing stories of people who have demonstrated these values in extraordinary ways, we can inspire our kids to do the same. Another way is through role modeling. As our kids watch us interact with others, they're learning about how to treat people with kindness and respect. And when we make mistakes, they're watching how we respond and make amends. This is why it's so important that we're intentional about the way we live our lives and that we're modeling the values we want our kids to have. Community involvement is another way to teach our kids about kindness, compassion, and forgiveness. By serving others together as a family, we can show our kids the impact that these values can have on people's lives. I'll never forget the time my own daughter came to me in tears because she had hurt a friend's feelings at school. She was devastated, and I could see the weight of her guilt in her eyes. But as we talked through what had happened, I saw something remarkable happen. She began to realize that her actions had caused pain to someone she cared about, and she felt compelled to make things right. It was a small moment, but it was a turning point for her. It showed me that she was capable of empathy and compassion, and that she was willing to take responsibility for her actions. It reminded me that even in the midst of making mistakes, our kids are capable of learning and growing if we give them the space to do so. As I look back on that moment, I'm reminded of just how powerful it is to nurture a Christ-like heart in our kids. It's not always easy, and it's not always straightforward, but it's worth it. When we take the time to teach our kids about kindness, compassion, and forgiveness, we're giving them the tools they need to build strong, healthy relationships and to live a life that honors God. In summary, developing a Christ-like heart in our kids takes time, effort, and intentionality, but the benefits are well worth it. By teaching our kids about kindness, compassion, and forgiveness, we're setting them up for a lifetime of strong relationships and a deeper faith. Thanks for joining me on this journey to teach kids about developing a Christ-like heart. If you have a story to share about how you've taught your kids about kindness, compassion, and forgiveness, please leave it in the comments below. And if you want more parenting tips and encouragement, Be sure to subscribe to our channel for new content every week.